Good morning, friends of the channel. We're a bit crowded today. We have kids and dogs. Everyone has joined in for this tutorial, so we're all here together. But you'll be good and help me, right? So today is somewhat of an unusual kind of tutorial. It's not the typical tutorial that Elisa would ever suggest. But first of all, I was strongly asked to do a tutorial like this. And secondly, I think it goes perfectly with the stencil I have to present. This stencil was made by Redesign exclusively for us at Magic Paint. It's called Magical Forest, and I absolutely love it. We designed it ourselves, so our creative touch has merged with the Redesign style. So we'll be using this beautiful stencil, which was also paired with the decoupage I showed last week in the tutorial. So just a heads up, if you want to buy them together, they look great even when used in the same space. Why do I say that this tutorial will be absolutely unusual? Because we'll be using anti-tannin, Soffio, and a stencil in just white. So you'll have a total white restyling. Let's get started. Today I'm going to show you the anti-tannin. What is anti-tannin? First of all, it's not a primer, it's not a base coat, it's not meant to help the paint adhere. Actually, anti-tannin is only used to block any possible tannin bleed through. And what is tannin? Tannin is the essence of the wood that can rise to the surface if it's not sealed. And why might it not be sealed? Because you've washed with ABA too many times, because wear has removed the finish, or because it's raw wood that can let stains come through. When is it useful to use anti-tannin, and when is it not? It's not useful, for example, when you have raw pine wood, and the knot in the pine keeps bleeding resin. In that case, anti-tannin is useless because the resin, due to mechanical seepage, will keep coming out and will break through, damaging the anti-tannin layer. So what is it useful for? It's for any rising tannins and stains. On this table, we did quite a bit of ABA washing. We removed the glossy finish in many spots, but not everywhere. So it's normal that stains might appear in some areas and not in others. This is why before using Soffio, we apply the anti-tannin product not to help the paint adhere, because that's not its purpose. The anti-tannin product should never be diluted, not even if you can't spread it or apply it properly. If that's the case, it's because you're using the wrong brush. It's a rather thick paint, as you can see. So it needs to be applied with a brush that can spread it. Don't use brushes for protective coatings, ones that are too thin, or any random brush from the hardware store. No, you need a brush with the right thickness. A size 2 or size 4 pointed brush is good if you have grooves like I do. Oval brushes can work well. Super Silk and Elizabeth brushes are also fine, but not brushes that are too soft. Otherwise, you won't be able to apply it properly. You'll use too much, and it'll turn out patchy and messy. So don't dilute it, apply it pure. And very often, tannin stains appear after the first coat of anti-tannin. What does that mean? Well, it means that when I apply it, any stains that would have come out on the paint might show up on the anti-tannin, but quite often they get sealed in and simply stay there. However, I recommend to anyone who has bought the can to apply 2 coats of anti-tannin. That way you're all set and you can be sure there won't be any stains coming through. Last thing but not least, anti-tannin should only be used when you don't want to do any pickling, you don't want to do wax patinas, and you don't want to do antique washes. Anti-tannin is only for those who love having light and extremely pure colors without any stains or antiquing. Otherwise, don't use anti-tannin because it's pointless. And now, let's get started. I load the brush well. I use the reservoir that this nice brush has in its center, and I start. As you can see, this is the application with the anti-tannin. This brush is exceptional for this type of application, and as you can see, it's nice, fluid, and whitening. It will create exactly this effect. It will look just like you're giving a first preventive coat to a very dark, almost black surface. We will definitely apply 2 coats in total. As you can see, I started with the table flipped upside down. Because when you have these structures that are very intricate, like chairs or nightstands, it's always better to start upside down. And when I'll flip it over, I'll find a lot of imperfections, that is surfaces that simply weren't covered when the table was upside down. So I can do the final coat the other way around. So remember, when you have very intricate structures, like I do today, always start with them upside down. Let's apply a second coat of anti-tannin to our entire table to prevent these stains from coming up. Look at how I'm already almost completely removing the brown part of the wood. And this way, I won't have to worry about color or tannin bleeding through. To do this stencil, I use the classic yellow spatula and Materic Cream paste. It doesn't go wherever it wants, it stays exactly where you put it. So I take a bit, put it on my spatula very carefully and without dripping it everywhere, and I start. The tip to making a perfect, precise stencil without smudges is not to go back and forth 1,000 times. Just go from top to bottom like this. If you go over it too many times, moving back and forth, you'll end up smudging it. So please, I kindly ask you, please remember, don't do that. Let's just see if I was precise. And voila! I'm carefully masking off some specific parts of the stencil because, as you know, we obviously made 2 front-facing reproductions with the entire stencil earlier, but now I want to do the entire outline that goes inside, the center of the glass table. So I'm going to black out some spots that I don't want to bring to the glass and just use the others. I'll stop here, then I'll fill everything in up to this branch. I leave the rest out. I'll stop like this until here, here, this here. I'll stop here so I can leave this one, but I won't do that. Voila. Now I'll dry my stencil completely everywhere, and then I'll get some pieces of branch and carefully place them where I need them. Here in the middle, here, so that they come from the edges, I carry on. I start with the first coat of Soffio and I spread it with the Architecto small brush because it works really, really well in the crevices. It helps the paint stick well, it has soft and velvety bristles, and it helps me get good coverage. Of course, Soffio is an optical white, so don't expect the same coverage you might get from clear sand or dark sand, which are more covering whites because they have a different pigmentation. All optical whites from any company in the world are obviously much less covering compared to whites with more pigment, which may have grayish, ivory, or yellowish tones. So if by chance, after buying Soffio, you realize that it doesn't have great coverage, it's not a flaw in the color, but simply the nature of optical white. Second coat of Soffio. Always use it pure, please. Do not dilute it, otherwise it will cover less. I'm applying a coat of matte protective coating over the entire structure. Applying a matte protective coating that's white on a white structure is anything but easy. So you need to hurry, apply it quickly, because at least you can see it while it's still wet. Now I'm carefully applying a coat in this direction. So with the table upside down, then of course I'll flip it over and finish everything off. For months, Stefano kept telling me, Elisa, you need to do a piece of furniture with Soffio because you never use it. And it's true. I can't say it's one of my favorite colors, but that's simply because I don't like white. But here it's perfect. On this table, which was quite heavy, it's perfect. And there's no better technique than this one to really make this table stand out. In fact, now that I look at it up close, it looks like a sticker. It doesn't even look like a stencil done in reverse. So I'm really happy to have combined Soffio with pure Materic Cream and created this restyling because it's light, soft, and I really love it. Actually, when I came into the house, I also noticed how well it would go with tones that aren't too white. So even in a home that's not perfectly white, it looks great, in fact, on a floor like mine, which is a light, warm wood. It makes it stand out even more. So if you want a bright but warm environment, pair Soffio with a floor like mine or even a porcelain stoneware because it looks really good. On the other hand, I wouldn't recommend it for someone with a very classic home. For example, if in a very classic setting with terracotta or brick, you put just one piece of furniture made with Soffio, it creates a bit of a mismatch because it's too light and doesn't blend in well with the context. Obviously, for a color like this, you'll need more coats, and don't say I didn't warn you. So apply an anti-tannin base if you're at risk of stains coming through, or use a base of another white, even clear sand. And you'll definitely have an easier time getting good coverage. I'll say goodbye now, and please let me know in the comments if you liked it. And I can't wait to use this beautiful stencil that has my name on it for some other project. Definitely something a bit more vintage, distressed, and worn out, which it's in my nature. Please let me know in the comments if you liked it or want to see it used in other ways. Also remember, you can only find Magic Paint products at Magic Paint retailers listed by region on the magicpaint.it website or on elisehome.com, the only Italian website selling Magic Paint. Don't look for it on Amazon, it's not there. On Amazon, you'll find other products that are not Magic Paint. Goodbye!